Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thanks so much for joining me. So I'm going to be making a start on this month's star project, which, if you remember, the Wheel of Inspiration gave us the prompt removable journal. So I did do an intro video, but just in case you missed it, this is the kind of thing that I'm going to be making. Essentially, it's going to have the notebook inside, so it's going to come out of the top, that's the removable journal part. And then on the front here is going to be a series of flip outs and pockets and envelopes, and another pocket at the back to have lots of ephemera. So the interactivity and all of the things coming out of pockets is on the front, and then the notebook inside is going to be essentially a, primarily writing journal, writing notebook. Okay, so that is what we're going to be making. I did want to mention before I begin, I'm going to be using my new kit, which is called In the Garden. This is just a few of the pages, just in case you didn't see my flip through video. Really, really pretty kit, and I can't wait to use it. So I really want this to feel like you're opening up the envelopes and the flips is kind of you going through the gates and the fences to get deeper and deeper into the garden until you get right out into this pocket, which is a Yorkshire tea from the side of a Yorkshire tea box. And essentially this is going to be like the end point, as it were. So if you imagine this is your house, your manor house, we've gone through all of the garden, and then we're going to get to the end, which is the landscape looking out across the estate that we own. We can dream, can't we? But essentially that's the story for this one. I do like my journals to have stories where I can. So that's what we're going to be making, and it's going to have lots of fun little interactive elements for it. Another thing that I wanted to mention, if you're going to be following along with any of this, the back here, this back piece, I'll just show you what it is. Essentially this was some packaging that I had, which if you look at this nice little curved edge, I thought this would make a really nice pockety thing for the notebook, and it's a nice base with which to do something with, nice and sturdy. But you can do this project with anything as the base here. So you could use an altered file folder folded in half, and then the top of it is open for your journal. You could have a large envelope, you could have an Amazon packaging folder type thing. I do have a series where I did last year, which I'll link below for you in case you want to look at how I did that. Because the concept is similar, where we've got a base, a journal coming out of it, and then the flips and envelopes on the front. So I wanted to mention that because don't get caught up on the fact that we don't have the exact same packaging. You could use so many things for this. You could even just fold card in half, maybe give them a gussets along the side to make room for the notebook. Yeah, there's lots of things that you could use. So don't get hung up if you don't have the same packaging. But just as long as you've got that base and some envelopes, you can do this project. Okay, so I'm going to be breaking this project down so that it's nice and easy to follow, and it's going to show you some ideas. So even if you're not making the same project as me, it's hopefully going to show you some ideas of things that you could try in any kind of a journal or folio. So I'm going to start with this little front envelope piece because this is going to be a fun little swing flip thing using this clothing tag. So it's already got the hole, but I can make another hole. So you can just get some card. That's going to swing up to reveal a little thing at the back. And then this is just a note card, which I'm going to have be like a fold out writing spot. That's sort of what I'm going with. Okay, so I think the first place to start would be to decorate this swing flip. So I was thinking to use this bird perched on top of the gate for the front of it. I think that's going to look really, really sweet. Essentially it's going to be the bird at the front, and then it's going to swing open to reveal a little hedgehog at the back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep things really easy for myself, as I always like to do. And I'm just going to simply put, whoopsie daisy, put the glue on the tag. And I'm just going to position the bird where I want it. So if I just dob that down, what I'm doing is I'm going to lift up the paper and I'm just looking where my light is to get it into position. And then simple, I'm just going to cut around it. If you've seen my videos before, you'll know I like to keep things really simple. And I'm a lazy crafter, so I find this easier than measuring and matting things, you know. But if you find measuring easier, then absolutely do that. Okay. So that's my front. And then for the back, I'm thinking to just use whatever was next to it. So a bit of this, I think. So again, I'm just going to put some glue on the tag. Get glue on my desk, of course. Okay, and then I'm just going to pop that down on the back. So essentially I'm getting some of the gate and flowers, fence and flowers rather. You won't really see this when you lift up the flip, but in case you do have a look, I'd rather show something decorative than just the back of the clothing tag. Okay, all set with that one, so I'm just going to put it to one side. I probably will do some decorating on here, but for now I'm just going to put that to one side, and of course I'm going to keep my scraps because I might be able to use some bits and bobs from that. Okay, so I've decided for this little envelope, I would like to mat the papers just so I can get a little bit of a brown border. So I have cut my papers down. I just used one of the hedgehog garden pages, so this one, and I just used the leftover scrap from the back of this, which is going to be the back of the envelope. I have cut the envelope open, not because I intend for it to be a pocket, but just because I thought it would make putting the brad through the envelope a little bit easier, so I can open up the brad legs inside the envelope. And that's going to flip this way. Okay, so let's get this where I want it. So yeah, I did the cutting and measuring everything off screen because it does take me a while. I'm not a very good measurer, so I have to do things bit by bit by bit, and on video it just takes an age of a time. But if you're better at measuring and cutting straight, you'll be a lot faster, I'm sure. Okay, right, so before I put the back on, I think it's probably a good idea to punch my hole and get my brad swing piece in there. Okay, so I've just made a hole where I want my brad to go, and I was just very careful. I actually opened up the envelope slightly for the hole to be inside so that I can cover up my brad legs. Just be careful when you do punch your hole that you don't go, you know, you'll want to be careful of your fingers. So I've got this pretty purple brad. I originally thought to use a green brad, but I actually preferred how the purple looked on there. And I will do something decorative with this after, where I might hang down some like keys or something, like keys to the garden or a flower charm even, something like that. But for now, it's all about just building up the construction of the project. So right, now I want to open up these brad legs. I'm just opening that envelope a bit more so I can get in there. I'm just checking where my brad is so that it looks good on the page as well. Okay, there we go. Managed to get those brad legs closed. So it's not quite where I wanted it, but I think once I've decorated it up, it will be exactly what I'm looking for. Like I might put some more fence on and some words and butterflies and things. But essentially, there we go. And then we've got the little hedgehog hiding behind. Okay, so I've squished the brad legs down, so I'm just going to put some tape over them. Just gives them a bit more protection and stops them from coming through the back of the envelope. Just go like so. Bit messy, but you won't see any of this by the time we're finished. Okay, and now I'm just going to glue that envelope back up so it's out of my way. Now I'm using quite a chunky brad, just because it's what I have in my stash, so I'm using what I've got. It may be that I need to put something on the back there just to disguise those legs even more, but we'll see once I've put this paper on. I'll see what we're looking like. Okay, so I'm going to put the back on. Again, because I'm not using this envelope as a pocket, I don't need to be careful about where I'm gluing. So I'm just going to put glue all across the back. As I said, this was just a scrap from earlier. I'm going to do my best to use every inch of the paper, especially the scraps. Okay, so I've just lined this packaging piece with some of the damask paper, so I've got a little bit of a writing spot now. And I've just rounded the corners. Now originally this was just going to be a writing spot and I was going to have it in the middle of the envelope, but I'm thinking of moving it down and potentially having a secret pocket, and then potentially I might have to put something over there to disguise the sort of like hinkiness at the back where we've got those brad legs. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down as a pocket, and all the sort of finishing touches, I suppose, the decorating, can come once I've got everything where I want it. I'm just going to put a little bit more glue at the bottom just so that it's got a little bit more sturdiness. But yeah, this can be a little secret pocket is what I'm thinking. Not for anything major, just a little card or a piece of paper, tickets, anything like that really. So that's glued now on 3 sides. Just make sure it's straight at the bottom. That's it. So yeah, all I would say is just take your time with things as you build them up, especially folios. I've probably said that a few times now, but essentially just take your time, because you can always change up ideas as you go. You know, if something's not working out quite how you had in mind. It's not amazingly straight, but I'm just going to do my best just to push that up a little bit. That's it. Yeah, so if you do need to change things up or cover things up or add things to hide stuff, then just know that there's always time and the chance to do that. There we go. Right, that's my first little flip out. Not finished, but at least on its way to being what I wanted it to be. So I'm just going to bring in the bigger envelope. So this is going to go on the front here. So I've got a little swing decoration, a little hedgehog, and I might put something here, like a word or something. Haven't fully decided yet how I'm going to decorate this, but we'll get there. And then that's going to be a fold out writing spot, and now it's a pocket, which is a bonus. And of course I do need to decorate the front here. So for the next part, I'm going to be working on these next flip outs and pockets and things. So I've gone ahead and matted the front of this smaller envelope. I've used some of my wood paper, and wherever I have this, possibly at the bottom is how I'm going to have it. I really like the wood, and it just lets the colours of the flowers and the bird and everything stand out. So I'm happy with how that's looking. So let's move on. So as I said, I've used the wood. I might add something else to this when I come to decorate, but for now I want to show you. So this was a 6x6 square envelope, and to make it look better on the front, I folded this section over, and I thought I may as well use that in the project as a little side tuck, rather than, you know, cutting it off and then having to use it later. So I'm going to line the inside of this envelope with some more wood paper. I have done the cutting off screen just because, as I said, I have to do it bit by bit because I'm really rubbish at measuring. But I tried where possible to use as many scraps as I could. So I'm pretty happy with myself in terms of the papers I'm using as I go. I'm doing pretty well with using them up, you know, not having lots left over at the end, I don't think. I had to put my jumper on because it's absolutely freezing today. Another storm coming in. So if you can hear the rain very loudly in this video, then that's why. Okay, and then, as I said, I'm using up my scraps. I had this left over, which is a door leading up into the outbuilding, conservatory, sunroom, whatever you want to call it. So I am going to use that there. It was pretty much spot on in terms of width. I just needed to cut some down off of the height, so using the scraps. So yeah, lots of matting in this project, but it's really just because I really wanted to make the most of these papers, really get the best out of them as best I could, you know. And yeah, I'm loving how it's all coming together. I think it's, you know, the vibe that I was after. As per usual, I do need to do the finicky gluing off screen. But for this, I'm just going to put some glue top and bottom of this little envelope bottom. If my glue will come out. I've lost the pin, so it's dried up a little bit, but hopefully I can do this. So I'm going to do a couple of lines because this is the only thing keeping it closed, and as you can see, my glue just does not want to play ball. So I'm just going to hold that down. That's going to be our little side tuck. There we are, there's our little side tuck in the envelope. So that's that one. So then I have this next flip out that's going to be on the other side, flipping out that way. Just remind myself. Okay, now I'm not sure what I'm having on the front just yet. I'm torn between this page or this page. So I think I'm going to go ahead with the parts I'm sure about. And the first one is to have more of the wood paper on the back. And this is where I'm going to have the paper bag pocket, which is going to have another little side tuck in it. So I thought I might as well just do the pages I'm definitely sure about. And then I can see how it's all looking together so far. And then make a decision about that final page. Now what I should say is you might notice I'm not putting any tape on these envelopes. Often when I work with envelopes, especially with flip outs and things in a folio, you'll often see me adding strong tape along the flaps. I'm not doing that for these because it's not needed for this particular project I'm working on. The reason for that is because nothing I'm adding to any of these individual flip outs is particularly heavy. You know, I'm not using any thick, heavy ephemera or anything like that. I am really just using the papers. So that's why I feel like it's not needed this time. And then so this is the paper bag pocket. So it's actually part of a paper bag that I would have cut off. I think I would have been making those little lunch bag fold out pockets, which I think I have done a video on them. So I would have been making that. So I'm basically left with the end of a paper bag, but this would work just as well with paper, book pages, anything you've got really. essentially it's just a rectangle with the part folded over, and what it's going to be is a side pocket, and then the whole paper bag is open as a pocket. And then if we really wanted to, we could even have glue this down on 3 sides and have this be another pocket. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that at this point, but we'll see. And then all I'm going to do is take one of the sheets. Again, this was a scrap page left over, and I'd like to essentially keep the pattern continuing. I'm probably going to have some kind of lace down the middle, I imagine, but essentially it's a continuing pattern. And then when you put something in the pocket, it just, you know, when you pull it out, you can then see the whole page together, which I quite like. So I think I'll do the back panel first. So this is the slightly narrower one. So, but yeah, it's quite a fun pocket to do like this. Oops. And again, I've cut them slightly smaller than the paper bag in this case, because I wanted just a slight brown border around them. Just very, very minimal, but it's there nonetheless. So this piece is cut in half. So if I just show you, I had a piece like so, and I just simply cut it in half. And then all that it means is that when you put this back piece down, it's just slightly hidden by like the tiniest amount by the flap, in this case, the side pocket. Whoops. There are lots of videos on how to do paper bag pockets. They're nothing, you know, they're a simple one to do. If you've got paper bags or envelopes or anything, even just book pages, just fold it over to make that side pocket. Okay. As you can see, my cutting is, my measuring and cutting is certainly not anything to be desired. So I probably will have to put some crochet down there, but we shall see. Oh, the sun's come out now. The calm after the storm. Like so. And then I have just found some crochet, because I do think I want to put that down there, especially as, obviously I like it as a whole picture, but when we put something in the pocket, so let's just pretend we've got a card in there or something, the picture gets broken anyway, so I think it would look better with the crochet than without. And then when you take the thing out of the pocket, it still looks good as a whole, I think. So I'm just going to run some crochet along there, and I might very well do, you know, more decorating on all these pieces. I'm sure I probably will. But for right now, I just want to get everything built up, and then all of those finishing touches and everything can come later once I find it easier to decorate when things are all built up and where they should be. I just think it makes the decorating process a lot easier. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I thought this video, focus on the construction, and then all those little finishing touches we can do another time. I'll just trim that off. I hope you're enjoying seeing me use this kit. I'm very excited to use it. I always get excited. Well, I get excited about crafting in general, but it hits differently. Also using the papers I've designed as well. It just adds an extra layer of, I don't know, feeling creative, I guess. Of just, yeah, I designed these papers and I get to use them in a project now. It's yeah, very exciting. Okay, looking good, no longer paper bag-esque, and that is going to come on the back here when I'm ready. So yeah, it's going to be framed by all that lovely brown wood, and then, as I said, something can come out of the top of it as well as the side. Okay, I was just deciding on this front here, and I've gone with this pretty garden page with another hedgehog on it. I was just testing a few different pages to see what went together. So just a tip as to how you can go about choosing your pages, especially with folios and where you can see bits of something and bits of something else. At least what works for me is I will just try out different pages, so just holding them up where they're going to go, and then I will open the flips so that I can see how, well, if I open that, that's what that's going to be next to, and if I close that, that's what you're going to see together. And you might just have to do that a few times when choosing your papers, because it's all about, you know, deciding what you like next to each other and all of that. So it does take a little bit of time choosing the papers, I think, but if you take the time to do it, it does pay off loads when you actually see it all together and you think, aha, that works and that's what you want. So all right, and then let's get this paper bag pocket down. I'm probably jumping around a bit, but that's really just because I just want to get all of the flips done, and then we can come back and build it all up into the final product, really. So I'm just trying to decide whether to keep the back of this open or not, because obviously the paper bag itself is a pocket. So I think I'm just going to stick the whole thing down, because I don't really want to, I don't want to have too much weight or too much bulk with all the flip outs and things. So I think this will work just fine. So I'm just being careful with the glue. I don't want to put absolute heaps on. But I think it's enough that this is 2 pockets to fill, so I think that's going to be fine. So there we go. I just love how I'm so glad that I put the brown fence panels and, you know, fences and sheds and all the rest of it. I'm glad I went with all of that with the pink and blue and green and purple. I think it just tones it down just enough for then the, you know, the pretty florals and leaves and everything to do the talking, as it were. Okay, so I think other than the decorating, we're nearly there with these flip outs. So again, I'm just going to build all of this up. So that's going to be at the bottom there. And then we've got this piece, which I think I will also probably have at the bottom. And then this piece, whoops-a-daisy, I'm still umming and ahhing about whether it should be down the bottom or in the middle or at the top of this this envelope. So I'm still umming and ahhing. I mean, I like it all of the places, really, you know. I like it everywhere. I still need to decide though. So essentially that's how we're going to be looking. So this is what I mean about putting everything together as you build it, so you can see what's next to what. So for example, I've got the 2 hedgehogs together, but this one is slightly bigger than this one, so I'm kind of thinking mummy and baby. He's off to try and get to the mummy hedgehog. And when you open this up, I like that you can still see the hedgehog down the bottom. So that's a good point about having it up the top, or, you know, where it is now. Pink and pink together. And then, so this flap will be hidden. I'm going to sort that in a minute because I realised I've forgotten to attach it. What an umpty. But we'll sort that in a minute. So yeah, that won't be showing. But then again, this looks nice together. And then we've got the pink repeated there. Okay, right. So for the last part of building this up before we get to decorating, yes, I need to actually attach this to this. So ideally I think I probably should have attached it underneath this paper, but obviously I just got on and did that quickly off screen. So what I could do, I think I could open up the envelope and put part of it inside there. I could potentially peel this back, but I've gone around and done all the finicky gluing, so I think that's going to be too well glued. So let me just quickly see if I can open this up without affecting my side pocket. Oh, there we go, perfect. See? Always ways to do things. It's never ever, you know, if you do forget about things like that, because it's easily done, I mean, I just did it, then never worry about it. There are always ways that you can make these things work. So I'm just going to make that flip out part a little bit smaller. There we go. And then that can go inside my envelope. I tell you what, I think the reason I forgot was because I was umming and ahhing still about where I wanted it. That's why. I think that's why I forgot. Because normally I'm pretty clued on with where I want things to be. And this one I just can't decide. But of course I'm going to have to decide now. Okay, decision made. I've decided I'm going to have it at the bottom for two reasons. The first reason is when you lift up that to find the little hedgehog, I wanted mummy and baby and mummy, to be closer together, because if I'm saying the story is that the hedgehogs are trying to get to each other, then yeah, I'd like them to be closer. So that's the first reason. And then I was sort of umming and ahhing, well, what on earth do I do with this then? And I realised that I don't have any kind of like book plate or anything like that on this, which you don't have to have that, but how fun would it be to take one of the signs, and I kind of wish that I'd put some words on this, so I'm going to make a page of these and, you know, offer them up as a freebie or something, and then I would like this to be like welcome to the garden or some kind of saying like that, because that's the whole story of this, and then that could hang there really nicely. So yeah, I'm liking how this is all coming together now. I did before, but I really do now. So basically, what I was saying before about putting everything together to make decisions about things, it does really help. So, you know, keep sort of taking your time with it in that sense. Right, so I want to make sure that I get this in the right place. So I want this at the bottom, don't I? Yeah. Just got to open that up just a tad. As I said, usually you would attach your flip outs before gluing all the papers down, but I think I was just too excited. The usual story for me. Okay, but I think that's going to go in there just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, daisy, don't put too much on. Let's put some glue on here. Okay, and then easy does it. Just going to close it down, and then I can just squidge that down to the bottom. That's it. I'm kind of glad that mistake happened in a way, because, or happy accident. It was a mistake, that one. But I'm kind of glad that happened, because I hope that it's proof that, you know, when you're building something up, it's okay if you miss out a step. You can always rectify it later. I think by this point, I really think I'm testament to that. That it, you know, it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about these things, you know. But now, now I can successfully close up this envelope. There we go. I hope the video wasn't too all over the place. As I said, I was having to make some decisions as I went. I did have a good idea in my head of what I wanted, but I hadn't completely worked out everything because, as I said, sometimes I need to see things all built up. Right, I've got to remember this is part of the pocket, I think, so don't put too much glue on this part. Okay. Yeah, sometimes, like, you know, I have to see, like, I'm a very visual person, so I have to see things together before I can make decisions about, like, papers and things. As I said, I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I hope the video wasn't too all over the place this time. There we are. As I said, still plenty of decorating and final gluing to do. So I think I'm going to leave that there for this video. Essentially, I've shown you how I was having the flip outs and where I was using the papers and things. Or what papers I was using, I should say. So I think I'm going to leave it there. So for the next video, what we will do is we will build up the base of this because I still need to do this pocket on the back here and then obviously cover this up, the packaging, front and back. So that will be one video to do. I may put some crochet down this side just because where we can see that with that, I feel like then it's kind of like symmetry-ish. So I might do that. We need to do the pocket, which I might have changed my mind about. Surprise, surprise. So if you don't want to see the next part, it's totally fine. What I will just say is I'm going to have to attach these flip outs to the back here. And then obviously these will get covered up by whatever paper I use on the back. But I do hope you join me for the second part because this will bring all of this together and I'm sure we'll be able to do some decorating on the next part too. So all the little finishing touches that I want to add, I hope that you'll stick around for those. So thanks so much then. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing this come together so far. I hope you enjoyed seeing these pretty papers. I absolutely love how all of this is looking. So I will speak to you soon. Thanks so much then. Bye bye for now.